Hey, it's Don, the auction professor here. Today I'm just going to touch on a conversation I had with a subscriber. We were going back and forth and talking about his store. A question and thought in my head when we first started this was, what the heck have I gotten myself into? I thought that for almost 2 years. Never heard anybody else say it. Yesterday when we were talking about the time, the amount of hours I put in, that's word for word what he said. What the heck have I gotten myself into? He's watched videos and stuff, even some of mine in the past, and just thought it was going to be so easy. And again, I expressed the conversation that I would probably talk about this, which is fine with the person. No names we're going to announce or anything like that, of course. But the point of this is that, a lot of people don't realize what's involved with this. One question I get asked all the time is, how many hours a week do I put in doing this? Now, sometimes I'll give out that information and then I'll get like a dead silence on the other end. Other times it leads into a bigger conversation of thinking it's just going to be so easy doing eBay or online selling in general. Now, we've been on since Yahoo Auctions. I've been into auctions forever, since they've been a thing. Back in the day when people made fun of you for doing it, they thought it was a fad. Who's going to buy it? That's nothing, And I myself, once we graduated college and just couldn't find a job, thought, what the heck am I doing? Why am I doing this? How can I make a living buying other people's stuff and turn it around and reselling it? Well, 9 years later, I'm not thinking that at all. It's worrisome days are gone. The first 2 years were really rough for us. Living basically worse than we would be if I worked for somebody else. In all honesty, I didn't have any security. I never knew what we were going to find. So I was always in a panic state. How am I going to pay for my kids' bills and medical and school needs for them and the whole works? This is before we realized our son had a heart condition as well. So had that been back then, I would have been even more concerned. The conversation with this gentleman was talking about, how to fix his sales in his store. And it didn't dawn on me for a minute, in all honesty, that he probably wasn't doing enough hours. I just assumed it was a given. In my world, where I'm from, as a regional or as a general manager, you do 60 plus hours. That's where you do. I just assumed everybody did that in this industry. Just my thoughts, Never took it out of context from what I'm used to doing. My schedule, and I'm going to give it to you real quick here. Monday through Friday, this is 5 days a week. I get up with my son, take him to school. By 7 o'clock, I am working on some project for listing or cross-promoting or something like that, all the way through 9 o'clock at night. That's Monday through Friday. That's 14 hours a day, basically. Now, I stop and start and I'll eat. I usually eat while I'm working. So it's usually around 11 to 12 hours of actual working in my area. That's Monday through Friday. Now, on Saturday, I usually do 8 or 10 hours. It's a given. We ship out on Saturdays. I still have employees here on Saturdays in many cases. And then Sunday is my day either for artwork or I'll do half a day. 4 or 5 hours at most I usually do. And the rest is our free time. Now, obviously, I can switch things around. That's legitimately my typical week, though. 75 hours is about average or more across the board on what we do. It's just what I've done forever. And when I worked for other people, I did the same type of hours. Nowadays, though, this isn't work. I'm enjoying what I do. I get to see new stuff, do new things. I get to figure out issues, solve problems. It's all me, though. So if that's not you and you don't have the experience to control everything, it may not be your game. I can tell you, though, if you want to do this and you really want to do this and want to put in the time and the effort, paying your bills doing this is not all that hard. You're going to be back to paycheck. If you want to step it up, though, and get to a point where, you have employees. Maybe not you. You don't have to have employees, but you want help or it to go much better for you. To start building bank accounts and things like that. You're going to have to do extra effort. You're going to have to put in those extra hours, whether it be 10, 20, even 30 extra hours a week than you normally would working for somebody else. That's what you're going to have to do because you're not just wearing one hat anymore. You're wearing everything. You wear the pilot, the co-pilot, the navigator. All of those positions are you. So you can't just always rely on somebody else. And it may be learning curves to pick up the business and things. For me, we've learned all the ins and outs. I don't have a summer slowdown. I don't have any of these drastic drops in sales. We're on multiple platforms. We do 9 platforms that make us money through selling and stuff. So it's a big world for us these days. And again, like I said before, it's not like that. People don't make fun of us anymore. They look up to see, where you at in your business these days. They don't think of it as no one's going to get anywhere doing this. I don't either, but I did. I did that for a very long time. I was nervous. Every day I woke up questioning if I'm doing the wrong thing for my kids, their well-being, my wife's well-being, my well-being. You got to take all of this into heart when you're doing this. This is not just some easy thing. You're just going to go out there and make a ton of money. It's just not possible. I have been through the gambit on this. We've lived on ramen noodles with feeding the kids everything we had, and the wife and I went without for a couple years of our life. At this point, I would never change the course this has taken us. Never. But if you don't have that drive and that dedication to go above and beyond what you were doing before to make this work, you're probably not going to be very successful. You may end up being able to pay your bills and all, but you're going to be in the same state. You're going to be living find to find, sourcing trip to sourcing trip. And that's just not the way you want to be looking forward to your future. You want to be able to have sustainable income that increases year by year, whether it's through expanding to other sites or just getting better items, more opportunity to get more items up, whatever it may be. We've jumped through those hurdles. I took it as a challenge and just doubled up my efforts. If we weren't making ends meet and I could barely pay my bills and food was hard to get on the table, I worked more hours. And if it meant I worked 100 hours a week, that's what I would have done. Whatever it takes to do this. And I did that for employers. I didn't used to be like that, but these days, it's all about making sure that you're not worried, that you don't have extra stress and issues like that in your life. And it's hard to do that when you're first starting out. I can tell you right now, you're going to have a few years if you are just now getting into this where you're going to be struggling, or you'll just be making things and making your bills and paying them just on time or late. At least you've made your bills. That's key to a lot of people. From there, though, you're going to have to dig in even deeper to be able to figure out the rest of it, to figure out how to not drop off in summer or buy better things or better niches or better categories. Whatever it needs to be, you're going to have to figure out what that is for your specific business. You can watch every video I have or every video everybody else has, and until you've dug your hands into it and figured it out on your own, you may not get to that point. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to put the legwork in, the time, the effort, the thought. Everything in your life is going to revolve around this until you figure it out. And if it doesn't, then, it may not be successful. It may not be the business for you. There's nothing wrong with this not being someone's business. Some people like the structured aspect of life working for somebody else. I thought there was no other way about it. And obviously that's wrong. But the point of it is, it's going to be a scary thing if you're jumping into this. It's going to be nervous and nerve-wracking for you. If you've got kids, it's extra important to you to make this work. That's been our goal. Again, I have kids. I have one with a medical issue now that may not ever go away and could affect him for the rest of his life. So I take this more serious than anything I've ever taken in my life. Working for somebody else, you just go in and you are told what to do. Doing this as my own business is totally different. It takes all of my efforts to make it work and to keep increasing it. Our business is expanded. It's not shrinking. It's not, stepping down or staying stagnant. We've raised it by doing many, many things. Many things I would have never thought of until I dug in and had no other choice but to make it work. So, take this with a grain of salt. Everybody has a different experience on here. I know how mine has been. It's been rough. It's taken years to get to this point. We're 9 years in full time. And at this point, I don't worry anymore. I don't have those concerns anymore. My concerns are just how do I expand it? That's all I worry about. I don't worry about if money's going to come in one day or the next because it's always rolling in with the amount we have up and the sites that we are on. Again, this is 9 years in. This isn't like I just flicked the switch and boom, I'm selling a whole bunch and I'm doing great. It doesn't work that way, I'm telling you. I started with 0 listings. Just like everybody else, with nothing up. We ate through our savings account. Just pretty much blew it all out the door, paying bills and being able to live until this started to work for us. And then we figured this out. We figured that out. We figured out how to make more money here. We cut expenses. We bought less items that were cheaper. We found better sources. We found pickers. Whatever it takes, we did it. Wherever the road took us, we followed that path. I didn't have a set path other than the goals that we wanted to reach. My vision and my drive got me there. I've got this drive. I know where I'm going with this, so my vision is just narrowed in on this. But I've done this for 9 years. It's just gotten better for us, and my goals have gotten better, stronger goals, a better vision on where I'm going. We've figured out all the stupid mistakes. We figured out a lot of the financial pitfalls. We figured out ways to get cheaper items. We figured out ways to get our ROI up. We've got an 80% profit margin across the board. That's after fees, after labor, and after all that is said and done. It takes a lot to get to that point. It takes finding that niche, finding that area, finding that sourcing venue to get these over and over and over again. Most people can't keep sourcing the same items. That's a big problem for a lot. Once you start to figure these out, one's going to be figured out for you, then another one, and then you'll be like, I couldn't believe I didn't know that, or I couldn't figure that out to start with. So, hopefully you'll have that epiphany, you'll have that vision and drive. If you got all those things going for you, there's no stop to this. There's no end to where you can take this, in my personal opinion. I don't have a goal that I don't think I could reach. It will just take a lot of work to get to some of the goals in my head. And when we meet a goal, I just set another one a little harder than the last one. So that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.